Hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Money in Motion. Joined with Monte here this morning as the Nasdaq and equities sell off quite a bit here. Dollar was looking a little bit toppy yesterday, but a little bit more bids coming in today. But yeah, excited to break down this price action in crypto as well. I think it's worth talking about now that alts have actually been pretty exciting over the past few days. But yeah, Monte, good morning. Anything you'd like to start with?
Good morning, CJ. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I was reluctant to start the show this morning because, we are dropping like a rock here in the equity markets. And it's so unfortunate, right? Because we were seeing some really nice price action out of BTC, um, even relative to equity markets. And I think we still have the chance of seeing that today. Like people are going to try and short Bitcoin on the basis of the equity market's dropping like a rock. And we know what happens if too many people try and short Bitcoin. They get squeezed out and price goes up. I think that's a very real possibility for today. So even though I think that if today we were seeing positive price action in the equity markets, we'd be seeing Bitcoin up here retesting the highs. But even with this negative price action, you can see we're showing signs of resilience already this morning that I think is worth noting and encouraging, because this is like, exactly what you'd want to see. People trying to get short here, getting punished. And now we just need essentially buyers to step in. And this resiliency might be enough of a reason for those buyers to step in. So just like briefly off the bat, I just wanted to say that, although it does feel like we're being held back by the equity markets this morning from a Bitcoin perspective, I still think we can pump today if too many people try and short Bitcoin. So beware.
Yeah, I still, I was talking with Monte before the show. I still think there's a lot of folks on the wrong side of this altcoin trade. If we do have, just kind of a resumption of like bullish price action in equities, even if it's just like neutral, I think what you've seen like the past couple days has been like really interesting. So I do want, and I think I can describe that better by just like showing some of these total market cap altcoin charts.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so yeah, total. Let's look at total three because that's excluding Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins. And this should be the most bearish chart in the crypto industry because like this is all the high beta alts, the riskiest of the risk. And ever since really July, we've been beat down very hard, and price has really not experienced much of anything. And these FTX or kind of like the FTX selling, the fear around that, combined with like Bitcoin, there's really like a false breakdown that really suckered in a lot of like shorts, and now we just continue to go up. So I think with alts kind of like looking like that as well. And when you look at some specifics, they definitely come to mind. Certain ones like Lido, Sol has been pretty strong as well. Reclaiming kind of previous levels, still struggling with the 20 level. Any alts that have caught your eye, Monty? I remember this one first, though. I do remember Conflux or CFX. Yeah, you remember it too.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But I might actually want to play it to the upside this time around because it's it's gone nowhere but down over the past 2 months, and people like to pump this thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I think if you wanna long something right now, basically just go on CoinGlass, sort by funding rate, see what people are shorting the most. And yeah, you got things like BLZ, TRB, Stormex is in the top 3 for most shorted on Binance. So those are the things I'd be looking at. Even things like Engine, ENJ, Neo, StoreJ, getting a little bit down the list, but you can see that these are still heavily shorted assets. But at the top of the list, things like BLZ and TRB, Stormex, man, that is surprising to see that many people trying to short that. I was just talking the other day about how it's kind of flying under the radar. Looks like that's not the case anymore. People tried to short it at the lows and are getting squeezed out, and people are still trying to short this kind of retrace back down to previous levels where we were at kind of in June. And it's just not cooperating, and they're getting squeezed out, and the funding rate continues to climb higher as they double down. So
That's how it usually goes. Yes.
yep.
Yeah. Start picking out your favorite
Bitcoin
altcoins and mapping out levels.
Yeah, Bitcoin's up over 1% today. Now, officially, we're up 1.14%. That's encouraging when you're talking about equity markets being down over or almost 0.5%, and we're not even third, or we're barely not even an hour into the trading day. So you have negative equities, Bitcoin showing independent strength. These are all things we've been waiting for quite a while. And and CJ posted that trade insight a while back, and I mentioned it yesterday. And I really kind of loaded up my spot bag there, and I still think, and I'm still holding on to all of that position because I think that we can continue to grind higher, just merely on the fact that we're finally showing signs of independent strength relative to the equity markets. And if that is the case, if we're able to grind higher, or if we're able to grind higher while equity markets are dropping like a rock, like this chart looks absolutely horrible. Imagine what we can do when the inverse happens and equities start to even just go neutral or go positive. I think Bitcoin really takes off. And a lot of those alts that CJ was talking about, I think he's right. I think you need to start making a list like it's Christmas, and you're about to go shopping because, I think Bitcoin's about to be that Santa Claus and deliver a lot of high beta price action in the altcoin sector. So, this is all encouraging stuff for me. And I agree with you. I think you need to start thinking about like what altcoins you want to be long if you do want long exposure.
Yeah, that's a good question. Last thing I just wanted to show, if I'm still sharing here, then I'll pass it back.
Mm-hmm.
Is just kind of where we are relative to previous halving cycles, and where our current point is. If you look right around here, we're about 1,200 to 1,250 days after last block halving that we saw in 2020. And if you look where we are at this line and at this point, the previous 2 or 3 cycles, like we've gone much higher, and there really hasn't been much downside risk. Now, of course, we do have the exception, 2020, and that black swan. Barring a black swan or very like, I don't know, maybe high inflation, some type of black swan, something to bring the economy down, we probably should not make new lows, below either 25 or 20. I hate to say we should do something. The market should never have to do anything, but comparing what we've done historically, that would be somewhat uncharacteristic of how price has performed throughout these cycles. So we'll see. But definitely appropriate day for the whole volleyball underwater type meme, So
yeah, it definitely does have that feeling like a coiled spring. There's no doubt about that. Diving into some specific assets that I'm watching here. One that I have on my radar this week and I may be looking to play. I was talking a little bit about this in our community, but that is Ave. And the one thing that had been keeping me away was this kind of declining bullish volume. It was like, to me, just indicative of short covering, right? It's not necessarily indicative of anyone coming in and getting long, but the funding rate has reset to neutral. It is basically zero. So it seems like anyone that was short down here has already been squeezed out. I mean, this is a very nice move here, from $51 to $62. That would squeeze out pretty much anything above 5x leverage, and even if you were just 3x levered to the downside here, I mean, you're down, you're like 40% underwater at this point. So like, I think that this could plausibly go a lot higher. My target for it is, like, in the short term, at least 66. I know that doesn't seem like much of a move, but like, if you put on 3x leverage to the upside, I think that we could definitely see that move happen as some more shorts continue to uncoil, and we see this thing, some spot buyers actually come in and drive price higher. I think we could see a move up to 66, plausibly even up to this previous swing high up here at 80. That would be where I'd unload my entire bag and move back into stables. So this is one that I'm watching today. Like I said, this had been kind of keeping me out of it, but already we still have 10 hours to go in formation of today's daily candle. And you can expect more volume to come in today's volume bar to exceed, I would expect, both yesterday's and the previous days, thus giving me, sufficient reason to enter this trade. So I think that we see this thing go at least to 66. If not, you got these next targets of 75, and then basically up here at 82 at that next swing high. So that's one that I'm going to be looking to play here today. Haven't bought anything yet, but if we do see continued positive price action out of Bitcoin, which it looks like we are, that's what I wanted to see. So really, I'm going to go ahead and enter this trade as soon as we're done recording this show here.
Nice. Yeah. Last thing I have to share is just a chart I was talking about community last night a bit. Just has to do with trend following and like these boom bust cycles.
Yeah.
So I do think we see some mean reversion following the supply shock of 2021. I don't have a lot of conviction in terms of like macro fundamentals. I'm not really thinking about it too much, but it's mainly about positioning in terms of the fact we've seen a lot of commercial distribution at these recent highs. And in many cases, when we've seen these cycles take multiple years to play out historically, sometimes we do have to retrace nearly the entire move. Historically, this has been in the range of like $30 to $45. So we'll see. But the one thing that I really do like that is a nice visualization, especially since trend following can be so prevalent in commodity markets, is the 1222 EMA cross. So in many cases, you can catch these trending moves as they start very quickly. And, there's a couple of cases, of course, where they're false signals. But overall, the trend is still pretty well defined, as it is in crypto too. This is a nice indicator for the boom bust cycles in crypto. So typically once you get the bear signal, it's like typically it's a counter indicator because that's a reflection of the historic price action of the last week or two. You get that counter move into the resistance. Once the failure of the resistance starts occurring, maybe it's time to take another shot, especially now that we're still in the bearish bias, continuing to make lower highs. Let's add some volume, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I hadn't realized that cross had occurred, and now that we've had that retest, I feel like this would be an ideal time to enter this trade. I mean, you've been talking about it you've had it on your radar for quite a while now, but to me, I think this is sufficient to pull the trigger, especially now that I'm seeing this volume as well. So add it to my list of trades that I'll be taking as well. Just putting it out there. I'm going to be entering this one, but please continue.
Yeah, it's a good one to trade too if you're like new to futures. There's some nice micro soybean oil contracts that aren't super expensive if you don't have a huge account value to start. So it's always nice to have that flexibility. But yeah, I really, there was a lot of distribution or accumulation during this point in time, during the red trending. And I was trying to catch the reversal and I got stopped out, I think, here, I think here. And then finally, you eventually catch the move. But I do not forget how strong this downtrend was. And so if we can get even some of that to resume, I'd really like to participate in that downward price action. So we'll see ultimately if it happens. But yeah, it's funny. One antidote I was just going to say, my friend Jack, what he does for a living is he will cold call farmers around, the Midwestern area and try to hook them up with a grain dealer or just like, I think it's called like a pricing managed pricing program or something.
Why'd
But
you make it sound like he's a drug dealer? You're like, yeah, he hooks them up. Like
he is the plug between the broker and the yeah, he's a corn plug. It's exactly what he is.
Oh, that's a good gig.
But yeah, he calls the farmers who are the commercials. And in 2021, obviously, that's when all the speculation was occurring and all of those charts just went parabolic. And he's like, yeah, I did. It was so much easier to sell when we first started the company because all these farmers were like, yeah, all these speculators are coming in, jacking up the price. I'll sell you some of my corn. Yeah, take my soybeans. Now, none of them want to sell because the prices are all depressed, at least with corn specifically, not so much soybeans. But he's like, yeah, we need, because he was asking me about COT. It was just funny. But
that is funny, as was that farmer's accent that you just did right there. As some good stuff. Great A. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Looking like we're going to have a pretty interesting week here. And as always, we'll be back doing this show live. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our episodes. It really helps get more eyes on the show. And thank you for everyone for participating in the chat. We really, really appreciate it. On top of that, do not forget to check out tradethechain.com. You can get a 14-day free trial that gives you access to not only the Sentiment website, but also the Discord where CJ, myself, Nick, Alex, and a bunch of other crypto experts share their insights into what they're trading, what they're seeing in the crypto space. And there's convos going on in there 24/7. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. But that's all we got for today. Catch you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you guys so much for watching.